How will machines know what we value if we don't know ourselves? So I just finished a book by the same title as this talk called Artificial Intelligence, because I love puns, and it's about artificial intelligence. And the subtitle is Embracing Our Humanity to Maximize Our Machines. One thing I want you to be grateful for, while you still have the time in this age of the algorithm, is to take a measure of your own life. I lost my dad 4 years ago. He was a psychiatrist. And my mom and I realized one time that for 40 years, he saw 50,000 patients in toe-to-toe, eye-to-eye. He gave them permission to take a measure of their lives and basically let them know you're worth something. So I'm a big geek. I love technology. I write for Mashable and The Guardian, and I have a book out called Hacking Happiness. And my goal is to really sort of help people find the balance between technology and well-being. And when I say well-being, I mean the science of positive psychology, because the good news is there's an empirical science that when you take actions like gratitude or altruism, or you find what's called your flow, which is the work you feel that you're built to do, you can actually increase your well-being. And you can measure it and stuff with Fitbits, but the danger that I have is with something called a personalization algorithm. So if you're unfamiliar with artificial intelligence, or AI, the basic idea is there are sensors all around the world. The Internet of Everything is what we call it, right? So there's sensors in the floorboards. There's sensors, there's things watching us, facial recognition. We can swallow pills, our cars, right? All these things watching us, tracking us. And we need personalization algorithms in the sense of you go to a website, you want to buy something, help me cut through the clutter. Help me know a little bit about myself. But in that environment, although it's great that it saves you time, what I want to remind you is that each of those algorithms essentially are tracking sort of one fractal of your identity, one part of who you are. So this is where you shop. This is you in terms of your health. This is you in terms of dating. This is you in terms of something else. And the danger is we start to rely on these awesome, yes, but these algorithms created by someone else. And sometimes people think there's sort of a magic, like Lord of the Rings. There's some magic to the algorithm. And I remind people, algorithms or machines, like I talk about in the title, they're created by humans. AI is code created by programmers, and they have a bias. Doesn't mean they're evil. But typically when you go to a website where you're going to buy something, the bias is to have you buy. And my goal is to say, look, instead of living a life where the algorithm is based on purchase, I'd much rather know what's the algorithm that can help you live towards purpose. And in terms of personalized algorithms, I was thinking about this. I had an ex-girlfriend in college, and personalized algorithms to me are kind of like my ex-girlfriend. Now, she was beautiful, she was really smart, she was really into fashion. I've never been good at fashion, so she would go shopping with me, and by that I mean she would force me to go shopping, and we'd go out shopping, and we'd go to a store that she'd approved, and she'd say, okay, go over to those shorts, because it was summer, and you pick out a pair of shorts you like, and I'm like, okay, I'll get some shorts, and I'd walk over, and she'd be like, not the cargo shorts, not the cargo shorts, avoid the cargo shorts, and I was like, no cargo shorts, and I'd walk over, not the long ones, don't do the long ones, do the short ones from here to here, the green and the black shorts, you pick which one you like. And I was like, oh, okay. So I picked the green shorts, and I put on a striped shirt, and she's like, I think we like the blue shorts better than those green ones. And I think a plain shirt instead of the stripes, that's what we'd like. And I was like, yeah, that's what we'd like. And besides sort of, knowing I wasn't naked, I kind of had no idea what was going on at that point. And that's kind of the danger, and that's the situation where we're in right now. I'm sure you've been on Facebook, and you look at an ad, and you're like, I don't remember clicking on adult diapers, right? And you look at it, and I'm 46, so ads for adult diapers terrify me on about 15 levels. But then I realized I sent an email to a friend 3 days ago where I joked about The Simpsons, where Homer talked about those diapers. And I was like, wait a second, Facebook, Google, do they talk to each other? And the answer is yes. And the concern that I have there is what I call a loss of agency. It's not that these separate algorithms are bad or evil. It's that these algorithms, if you ask, hey, I love that algorithm where you're tracking every aspect about me and my life, those insights are really interesting. Can I have access to that algorithm? And the answer is, we're sorry, that's our IP. meaning our intellectual property. So my question is, what about the IP of you and me? That's our data. That's our identity. And the world we're going into with virtual reality and Oculus Rift, it's all digital. It's all virtual. So my goal is if we can protect our personal data, and by that I mean there's something called privacy by design, which is sort of, you have a personal data bank, which is like your own private server. It doesn't mean you don't work with brands. It doesn't mean you don't use Google or Facebook. That's about your preferences. It's about this conduit that you get to simply say, well, this is me. I get the data that I'm sharing and with who and for how long. So I have a concept that on top of privacy by design, we can have something called values by design. Because in the same way that the machines are watching us, seeing everything that we do, in artificial intelligence, it's the same way. There's in-home robots like Pepper and Jibo you may have heard of, facial recognition, eye tracking, affective computing. They recognize your emotions. They're going to be widespread in our homes very soon. They may be able to track, for instance, why is it millions of people around the world come downstairs in the morning and walk towards these black crystals and take boiling hot water and pour it over these crystals and then stir it and then drink it, and then their heart rate goes up and they're willing to talk to other humans, right? In one sense, this is called reverse engineering of value. People like coffee. So the methodology that I created, I have a nonprofit organization called the Happathon Project, which is the combination of the word happiness and hackathon, but hackathon like a fun, let's get together and build something cool. And our goal is to increase well-being with the use of technology, but also to say, where is that line for you? And I'm not trying to dictate what your line is. I want you to be able to have the ability to create your own line, your free will, as it were. And say, how can technology be used to increase well-being? And when can you also find the point where you're like, I'm going to turn the tech off? So we created a values tracking survey. And I say we because it's a woman who's a PhD in positive psychology on our board. And what it is a list of 12 values, things like family, health, work. And we put a scale of 1 to 10 on each of those 12 values. And first of all, we said to people, look at these 12 values, and they're created by two famous psychologists. And we said, track on these how important each of these values is to your life. So for instance, I'm a dad. I have 2 kids, family's like 11, I'm like Spinal Tap. I'm like 11 for my kids. Nature is like an 8. And I said health is important to me as well, and I put health at about 9. And what we told people is, the science of positive psychology says that if you don't live to your values every day, your happiness or well-being decreases. And before I did this tracking, if someone said, hey, John, what are your values? I'd be like, family, innovation, is Nutella a value? Because I love Nutella. Is that a value? So when you give someone the gift of saying, this is your portrait of your life in terms of your values, it's already a gift. But then every day for 3 weeks, we sent an email that just said, are you living to each of these values every day? And we'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, did you go outside today? That would be nature. If you didn't go outside, that's like a 2. So at the end of 3 weeks, we were then able to average together and show someone, this is a portrait, if this 3 weeks is kind of a normal 3 weeks for you, of the life that you live in terms of these are the values you actually live. And it's really powerful, and it's meant never to be condemnatory. In my case, I had said health is important. I'm 46, I'm a dad. And I realized afterwards I have a 2 or 3 for health every day. Most of my exercise involved going to the kitchen. So since August 23rd, I've lost 32 pounds, which is, thank you. I didn't need the applause, but I appreciate it. And the reason I was able to keep the weight off is because I want to be a man of integrity. I want to be a person my kids and I can look at and say, this is what my dad says he values, and he codified those values, and he's living to them. And it's a proactive tool for me to also increase new areas of my life, spirituality, health. And in terms of gratitude, you are worthy of close scrutiny and introspection to see how you can increase the things you're already grateful for. And here's the thing about positive psychology I learned as compared to artificial intelligence. You can't automate well-being. I can give you an app that helps teach you about gratitude. You can't game gratitude. You can't have the app actually be grateful for you. So I encourage you to track your values, because then the answer to the question that I started with, how will machines know what we value, is we tell them. Thanks.